You can never tell what Mother Nature gonna do. Although we look, we prepare, we check the weather and all that.
Before the Spanish arrived in the Mariana Islands, there is evidence of Carolinian influence throughout the Marianas. But post-Spanish, much of that contact and trade went away as the Carolinians avoided the now Spanish-administered islands. During this period, the population of Chamorros plummeted, mostly from Spanish flu, and the Spanish took most of the local Chamorro population to Guam. Saipan was largely empty. That changed a bit in the 1830s when a series of devastating typhoons brought Carolinians to Guam, and they were then allowed to settle on Saipan. Almost 50 years ago now, Lino Olapai joined Master Navigator Mao on a journey to the Central Carolines on a traditional sailing canoe that left from Saipan. Their hope to reestablish the sailing and traditional navigation link between the Pacific families.
My very first experience when I took it upon myself to leave Saipan and visit our ancestral homeland for the very first time with my brother Mao Pielu. Although he have coached me several months before we depart Saipan. And even with that, man, I thought I was gonna die.
Mao, who passed away in 2010, navigated great distances with just the stars, the wind, and the waves, and has passed this knowledge on to others. Olapai, who grew up on Saipan, has the spirit of the ocean and navigation embedded deep in his life experiences.
We tell our friends when they're leaving, it's an emotional thing oftentimes. Because whenever we make a voyage, those of us that make voyage, we always put it in our mind and spirit that we may not come back, a short one or a long one. So it's a farewell, which means farewell, goodbye.
In 1849, a large earthquake on Guam brought more devastation to the Carolines in the form of a tsunami, which swamped 4 of the low-lying atolls, including Satawal, for several hours, destroying all the plantings and most of the trees. This brought more migration to the Mariana Islands, and a number of them joined their Carolinian relatives on Saipan. Leo Pangelinan is the director of the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
As many of you know, the Satawalese people, or the Carolinian Refalawash people in the Sinamay, many of them come from Satawal. So these are their traditions as well. So we want to come back with a documentary film that our people here in the Sinamay can relate to. Not just our Refalawash community, but our, every other community here who wants to learn more about our indigenous languages and cultures.
Pangelinan says once they arrive in Satawal, a special ceremony awaits.
We are going primarily to attend the traditional pool ceremony, which is a ritual that is considered a rites of passage for traditional navigators and others who hold traditional knowledge. And so this is pretty unique in the world, kind of a rare event. The last time it was held in Satawal, I understand, was either in 1951 or 1952, when it was when Mao Pialuk went through the ceremony himself to get that rank of Pairoro, to receive his full blessing.
Chatherine Perry is the lone female on the voyage and says the furthest she has been on water is to Tinian.
My biggest concern probably is seasickness, because I do have a tendency to get seasick, not all the time, but sometimes, and so I'm not taking any actual medicine, doing a lot of natural techniques from traditional Chinese medicine and what the other people who are sailors have advised me. So I'm interested to see how that works out. It's either going to be a pass or a fail on that. And we are well supplied, hydrate, and don't overheat.
The Lucky Harvest has an engine, but no places to sleep and no toilet facilities for the approximately 3-day trip to the south.
I think the weather will be very good for this. It's preparation for these kinds of things. Reading the weather is not only today or yesterday. It takes, you go back further. And then one of the more critical ones is that if and when you get into serious weather, confronting the bad weather, then again, there's a process. You just flow with it.
how do you go to the bathroom? There's no, you know, I don't see a bathroom on this boat. How does that work?
Right. So there is one example in terms of the physical, right? So God gave you something not to be ashamed of, and one of it is when you need to take Mother Nature. So there's nothing wrong with how you behave or how you do what you need to do to use the bathroom. The element is not about, oh, you know, you gotta be, where's the toilet and all this thing, or where's the toilet tissue and all this thing. No, you don't think, you know, you just naturally do it, because if you don't and you get sick, then it's a burden for the other people around you.
Olapai says one thing he has learned in the open ocean is that even when you expect the unexpected, it's beyond your expectations.
In 1974, all the Mile Coast me like, stop it, there's nothing for you to worry about. I'm there, I know where we're going exactly. Even then, just after a few days out, it took us 2 weeks, 1 week going over there, at least for me that first time. I thought I was gonna die. I would stand up on the canoe and look, how far are we from land? And I was asking for, 7 more days, 7 more days, weeks maybe. So anyway, that brings the transition from land to the ocean.
Chris Nelson for the Channel 2 News.